a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. American Horror Story. American Horror Story is an American anthology horror television series created by Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk. Each season is conceived as a self-contained miniseries, following a different set of characters and settings, and a storyline with its own beginning, middle, and end. Some plot elements of each season are loosely inspired by true events. The only actors to be present in all iterations are Evan Peters and Sarah Paulson, with Lily Rabe and Francis Conroy appearing in all but one of the seasons each. The first season, retroactively subtitled Murder House, takes place in Los Angeles, California, during the year 2011, and centers on a family that moves into a house haunted by its deceased former occupants. The second season, subtitled Asylum, takes place in Massachusetts during the year 1964, and follows the stories of the patients and staff of an institution for the criminally insane. The third season, subtitled Coven, takes place in New Orleans, Louisiana, during the year 2013, and follows a coven of witches who face off against those who wish to destroy them. The fourth season, subtitled Freak Show, takes place in Jupiter, Florida, during the year 1952, and centers around one of the few remaining American freak shows. The fifth season, subtitled Hotel, takes place in Los Angeles, California, during the year 2015, and focuses on the staff and guests of a supernatural hotel. The sixth season, subtitled Roanoke, takes place in North Carolina during the years 2014-16, and focuses on the paranormal events that take place at an isolated farmhouse haunted by the deceased Roanoke colony. The seventh season, subtitled Cult, takes place in 2017 and centers on a cult terrorizing the fictional suburb of Brookfield Heights, Michigan, in the aftermath of the 2016 U.S. presidential election. The eighth season, subtitled Apocalypse, takes place in the American West Coast during the year 2021, and centers around an outpost sheltering survivors from the fallout of a global nuclear holocaust. The series is broadcast on the cable television channel FX in the United States. On August 3, 2018, the series was greenlit for a 10th season, although reception to individual seasons has varied. American Horror Story largely has been well received by television critics, with the majority of the praise going towards the cast, particularly Jessica Lange, who won 2 Emmy Awards, a Golden Globe Award, and a Screen Actors Guild Award for her performances. Kathy Bates and James Cromwell each won an Emmy Award for their performances, while Lady Gaga won a Golden Globe Award. The series draws consistently high ratings for the FX network, with its first season being the most viewed new cable series of 2011. Murder House, 2011. Set in the year 2011, the season follows the Harmons, consisting of psychiatrist Ben, his wife Vivian, and their teenage daughter Violet, as they move from Boston to Los Angeles to make a fresh start after Vivian's miscarriage led to Ben having an affair with one of his students, which almost tore their family apart. They move into a restored mansion and soon encounter the residence's housekeeper, Moira O'Hara, as well as their neighbors, the eccentric Langdon family consisting of Constance and her daughter Adelaide. The Harmons lives are troubled by the meddling Langdons, the incompetent realtor Marcy, as well as by the disfigured Larry Harvey, a former resident of the mansion who is secretly in love with Constance, and the scorned Hayden McLean, Ben's student who follows him to Los Angeles and is pregnant from their affair. Ben and Vivian try to rekindle their relationship as Violet, suffering from depression, finds comfort with Tate, the ghost of Constance's psychopathic son. The family soon discovers that the home is haunted by the ghosts of anyone who has ever died on the property, including its creators Charles and Nora Montgomery, and their deformed son Thaddeus. Flashbacks depict the mansion's previous homeowners throughout the last century, dating back to its construction in the 1920s. The season deals with infidelity, as well as other themes including depression, family, school violence, religion, and sexuality. Asylum, 2012-13. Set in the year 1964, the season follows the patients and staff members of the church-owned Briarcliff Manor, located in Massachusetts, which was founded to treat and house the criminally insane Kit Walker. Accused of being prolific serial killer, Bloody Face, after the disappearance of his wife Alma, though he claims she was abducted by aliens, is incarcerated at Briarcliff. This piques the interest of ambitious journalist Lana Winters, who is yearning to find a story for her big break. At Briarcliff, Kit meets the other patients, many of whom claim to be unjustly institutionalized, including microcephalic Pepper, who was framed for her nephew's murder, nymphomaniac Shelley, and the unassuming Grace Bertrand from France, who appears to be harboring a deep secret of her own. Believed to be a violent serial killer, he becomes the subject of interest of pragmatic psychiatrist Oliver Thredson and the sadistic Dr. Arthur Arden, the latter of whom routinely conducts scientific operations on patients. The institution is run under the watchful eye of the stern Sister Jude, as well as her second-in-command, the naive Sister Mary Eunice, and the founder of the institution, Monsignor Timothy Howard. Briarcliff's inhabitants are routinely subject to supernatural and scientific influences, including demonic possession and extraterrestrial abduction. The season mostly deals with insanity, with other themes including female sexuality, corrupt ambition, religion versus science, racism, prejudice, death, and faith. Coven, 2013-14. Set in the year 2013, the season follows the dwindling descendants of the witches who survived the Salem witch trials and their struggle to hide their identity in the modern world. Those who share this genetic affliction are being subjected to violent attacks from outside forces, such as religious townspeople and witch hunters. Zoe Benson, a young teenager completely unaware of the existence of witches, discovers her identity as a Salem descendant after a violent accident that causes the death of her boyfriend. She is sent to an all-girls boarding school in New Orleans which aims to protect and house young women who carry this unique bloodline, and keep them from the dangers of the outside world. There, she meets the other students, narcissistic film star Madison Montgomery, outspoken Queenie, and enigmatic Nan, and gets romantically entangled with Kyle Spencer, a non-witch and good-natured college student. The school is run by headmistress Cordelia Fox, head of the Witches' Council and eccentric fashionista Myrtle Snow, and the mute butler Spaulding. Cordelia's mother, Fiona Good, is the supreme and most powerful witch of her generation, though she regularly avoids her responsibilities, much to the chagrin of Cordelia and her longtime rival Myrtle. After a mob of townspeople discover and nearly kill a young witch living in the swamps named Misty Day, Fiona returns to the school to ensure the safety of the other young witches, but also to fulfill her own hidden agenda. Events reveal a long-held rivalry between the witches of Salem and the voodoo practitioners of New Orleans, as well as a historic grudge between voodoo queen Marie Laveau and socialite serial killer Delphine LaLaurie. This season mostly deals with oppression, with other themes including witchcraft, voodoo, racism, prejudice, death, and the relationships between mothers and daughters. Freak Show, 2014-15. Set in the year 1952 in the quiet town of Jupiter, Florida, the season follows a struggling freak show led by Elsa Mars. Decades have passed since the public has looked upon freak shows as a form of entertainment. But Elsa dreams of finding a home for her monsters, as well as for her own fame and fortune. Other members of her troupe include Jimmy Darling, a boy born with syndactyly who dreams of living a normal life, and his mother Ethel, a bearded lady who is Elsa's second-in-command by maintaining law and order under the tent. A strong man from Ethel's troubled past named Del Toledo, and his three-breasted wife Desiree Dupree make waves when they arrive to join the freak show. To drum up business and save her troupe once and for all, Elsa also recruits conjoined twin sisters Betty and Dot Tatler to perform for her show. In a time when the era of television is beginning to reign high above sideshow acts, these individuals must overcome those who persecute them based on their looks. However, as events unfold, it is revealed that multiple dark entities have taken up residence in Jupiter, with all of their eyes being set on the freaks. A conman named Stanley, posing as a Hollywood executive, arrives with his young protégée Maggie Esmeralda, with the intention of murdering the freaks and sending their bodies to a museum for profit. The wealthy and spoiled Andy Mott, enabled by his doting mother Gloria, develops an unhealthy obsession with the freaks, particularly Betty and Dot. Perhaps most dangerous of all is a mysterious, deformed killer clown, only known as Twisty, who wreaks havoc among the town and appears to be targeting freaks and townspeople alike. This season mostly deals with discrimination, with other themes including ableism, prejudice, acceptance, exploitation, entertainment, television, and medical oddities. Hotel, 2015-16. Set in the year 2015, the season follows the strange and dangerous happenings that seem to center around the retro Hotel Cortez in downtown Los Angeles, California. Initially built as a secret torture chamber to fulfill the violent desires of founder James March, Detective John Lowe arrives at the hotel, based on intel from an anonymous tip, to investigate a grisly string of murders, each of which exemplify a sin in violation of one of the 10 Commandments. He has become estranged from his wife Alex, who suffers from depression, and his daughter Scarlett, after the disappearance of their son Holden. As the season unfolds, the Lowes discover that the disappearance of Holden may be related to the strange activities at the hotel, led by Muck's fashionista widow Elizabeth Johnson, also known as the Countess, who was turned into a vampire by her former lovers, actor Rudolph Valentino, and his wife Natasha Umbova, and her current lover Donovan. Throughout his investigation, John also becomes entangled with the spirits of heroin junkie named Sally, hotel maid Hazel Evers, and James March, who is looking for a protégé to continue the violent acts he started when he was alive. The hotel's tireless staff includes the surly front desk manager Iris, Donovan's mother who took the job to be close to her son, and her best friend, the transgender bartender Liz Taylor, both of whom hesitantly cater to Elizabeth and her vampiric children. Elizabeth's relationship with Donovan becomes troubled with the arrival of male model and cocaine addict Tristan Duffy, New York fashion designer Will Drake, and her scorned ex-lover Ramona Royale, all of whom become entangled in her violent life. This season mostly deals with addiction, with other themes including sexuality, insanity, revenge, debauchery, religion, sin, drug use, forgiveness, and death. Roanoke, 2016. Set in the years 2014-2017, the season follows the supernatural events that occur in a renovated farmhouse in North Carolina, which is situated on the land where the Roanoke colony moved after their infamous 1580s disappearance. In 2015, Shelby Miller, her husband Matt, along with Matt's sister Lee Harris, recount their harrowing experience living in the farmhouse a year prior in a popular documentary series titled My Roanoke Nightmare, including their encounters with the ghosts of the house's previous residents, the violent ghosts of the Roanoke colony, the cannibalistic Polk family who live nearby, and the beautiful, yet terrifying Celtic goddess Scarhook. The documentary becomes a huge success, featuring dramatic reenactments of the Miller's story starring Audrey Tyndall as Shelby, Dominic Banks as Matt, Monet Museum as Lee, Agnes Mary Winstead as Thomasin White, leader of the ghost colony, Audrey's husband Rory Monaghan as Edward Philippe Mott, the creator and first owner of the house, William Van Henderson as Dr. Elias Cunningham, a professor who becomes entranced with the paranormal happenings of the area, and Dylan as Ambrose White, Thomason's son and accomplice. In 2016, the success of the documentary leads to a sequel titled Return to Roanoke, 3 Days in Hell, spearheaded by the producer of the original series, Sidney Aaron James, who invites the Millers, as well as many of the reenactment actors, to return to the farmhouse for 3 days, where all their actions will be captured by hidden cameras. Although the Millers are aware of the entities that reside in the house, all three agree to return, each with their own agenda. The production eventually descends into disaster. However, as cast and crew alike are quickly targeted when the violent entities begin to surface. This season mostly deals with exploitation, with other themes including reality, fame, motherhood, family, drug abuse, publicity, revenge, the media, and television. Cult, 2017. Set in the year 2017, the fictional town of Brookfield Heights, Michigan, is left divided upon the wake of Donald Trump's presidential election. Local restaurant owner Ally Mayfair Richards is left utterly distraught, along with her wife Ivy. Despite the help of her psychiatrist, Dr. Rudy Vincent Anderson, Ally becomes increasingly unstable in the following weeks. Her long-repressed phobias begin to re-emerge, and they begin to affect her relationships with her wife as well as their son-in-laws. Across town, misogynistic cult writer Kai Anderson rejoices at the election results, enticing him to pursue political power by running for city council, led by Bibi Babbitt, an old-school feminist, with the help of his reluctant, liberal sister Winter, who was also hired by the Mayfair Richards household as their nanny. As Ally attempts to adjust to regular life despite her growing anxiety and paranoia, she becomes terrorized by a group of masked assailants in clown attire who are only present when she is alone, leaving those around her to wonder if she was truly attacked, or if they were merely hallucinations. Case faithful followers include Ally's eccentric neighbors Harrison and Meadow Wilton, newscast reporter Beverly Hope, rogue detective Jack Samuels, as well as local grocery cashier Gary K. Longstreet. With Case rise to power revealing sinister motives, Ally starts to draw connections between her alleged clown attackers and the many strange incidents occurring in Brookfield Heights. She begins to fear that everyone in town is out to get her, amplifying her growing distrust of those around her, especially her neighbors. This season mostly deals with marginalization, with other themes including politics, government, conspiracies, the media, fear, mental health, power, disenfranchisement, revenge, sexism, and oppression. Apocalypse, 2018. In the year 2020, World War III breaks out and results in the collapse of human civilization. Billionaire heiress Coco St. Pierre Vanderbilt, her personal assistant Mallory, hairstylist Mr. Gallant, and Glant's grandmother Reevy board a private jet and are taken to a secret underground bunker known as Outpost 3, where they meet fellow survivors Dinah Stevens, Andre, Timothy Campbell, and Emily, Wilhelmina Venable, and Miriam Mead run the outpost with an iron fist, punishing its residents for all manners of indiscretions, including unauthorized copulation. After 18 months, Emily and Timothy, who were selected by the cooperative for their unique genetic makeup, have established a secret relationship, and along with the other survivors are living off a single gelatinous cube of nutrients per day. Before long, Michael Langdon, the Antichrist, arrives at the outpost to evaluate the necessity of its survivors, and lead the valuable ones to the sanctuary. This season acts as a sequel, of sorts, to the Murder House and Coven storylines. Conception. Creators Murphy and Falchuk began working on American Horror Story before their Fox series Glee began production. Murphy wanted to do the opposite of what he had done previously and thus began his work on the series. He stated, "I went from nip/tuck to Glee, so it made sense that I wanted to do something challenging and dark. And I always had loved, as Brad had, the horror genre. So it just was a natural for me." Falchuk was intrigued by the idea of putting a different angle on the horror genre, stating that their main goal in creating the series was to scare viewers. "You want people to be a little bit off balance afterwards," he said. In February 2011, FX officially announced that it had ordered a pilot for a possible series from Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk, with both Murphy and Falchuk writing and Murphy directing. Dante Di Loreto was announced as executive producer. Production on the series began in April 2011. In July 2011, FX officially announced the project had been picked up to series. From the beginning, Murphy and Falchuk planned that each season of the series would tell a different story. After the first season finale aired, Murphy spoke of his plans to change the cast and location for the second season. He did say, however, that some actors who starred in the first season would be returning. "The people that are coming back will be playing completely different characters, creatures, monsters, etc. The Harmons stories are done. People who are coming back will be playing entirely new characters," he announced. In November 2012, FX chief executive, John Landgraf, described the unique format of the series, stating, "The notion of doing an anthological series of miniseries with a repertory cast has proven groundbreaking, wildly successful, and will prove to be trend-setting." At the 2013 Paley Fest, Falchuk compared the series to horror films. "It does demand a little bit of compassion at the end, because you fall in love with these characters in a different way than you would in a movie," he said. "If you want to kill everybody in a movie except one person, you can kind of get away with that, but if you're looking to do a horror TV show, you have a different responsibility to the characters, because the audience has a different affection for them." Murphy then explained the process of planning a series season takes about a year. "We come up with story first and then we come up with the characters," he said. "It is a repertory company, so we'll move people around and sometimes there won't yet be a role for somebody. Like when we started the second season, I really had no idea that Dylan McDermott would be the person to play Sarah's son, but the deeper we got, I thought that would work great." In an August 2015 article for Entertainment Weekly, Murphy revealed that the show is mulling producing 2 seasons a year, the first being broadcast in the spring and the second in the fall. He explained, "We're doing something that we've never done before on the show, where we're doing 2 different groups of writers' rooms. Some of our writers will be bouncing around, but a whole different group coming in late August. The next thing we're crafting up is very, very different than Hotel. Not smaller, but just not opulent. More rogue and more dark." Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries.